All right, what is going on, everyone? Alex Shlinsky here for the Anti-Hustlers Weekly Show. Hope you are doing well. We are here today to be talking about planning for Q4 and how to have the most unbelievable quarter to close out 2023 that you've ever had. It starts all with evaluation of Q3 and planning for Q4. We're going to share an SOP here. So if you're watching this one on like Spotify or listening to it, you really should be on YouTube or in our Facebook group, making sure that you're checking this out so you can see the SOP. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Brian Downer. Brian, how are you doing, my man?
Living the dream.
Hey, as always, pretty great. Last week, Brian did an amazing session about how to land 25 clients plus in Q4. Today, we're going to be talking about how to audit Q3 and plan for Q4. Brian, before we do that, what should be some considerations people have when they're considering how to even plan out a 3-month period, a quarterly period in their business?
Love it. I'm so glad you asked me. The first thing you do is don't try and move mountains in 3 months. I want you to, if you aren't in a place you want to be at, don't expect to, in 3 months, all of a sudden get there. This is a good time to recommit to the right actions and put in the systems you need, foundational systems you need to just build consistency, right? Like we talked about today being the 7-year anniversary of POD and us kind of not even realizing it until Facebook prompted us to remind us. And a big part of that is because we are in the business every day, week, month, making it better. 1% better every day. It's not a shirt you have seen Alex or I wear recently, but it's one of the OG shirts here in POD, and it's true, right? So the first consideration is if you're trying to achieve something huge, don't put the pressure on yourself to achieve it in 3 months. Use these 3 months to set yourself up for the best success in 2024 and really commit to the lifestyle of this. Much like fitness, it's not something you're going to do a 90-day diet on and all of a sudden get all of the results you want. It's the commitments, routines you build and commit to for months and years, right? So if you're not quite there yet, don't force yourself to get there in 3 months and then be disappointed when you're not. You will set yourself up for failure. You can do a lot of amazing things in 3 months, but just give yourself the time needed to accomplish the bigger goals and don't assume it's all going to happen. But that being said, we need to build on our lessons and what we've learned. And so I think one of the best places to start is a reflection of the year thus far. We can look at Q3 in a box. It's a little bit easier, the last 3 months, but also the whole year. Like, what did you do or not do that was effective, ineffective? Let's 80-20 the 80-20, if you will, like Alex likes to say, and focus on those things. That's where I would really want to start.
Yeah, I love that. I think the concept of evaluation is something you've shared a few times on these calls before, but like the idea that people consider like evaluation is just, it's very rare. Like most people don't really spend the time evaluating. They usually spend the time doing two things, mostly like content consuming and then execution. Like those are the two things that you're doing. Consuming content, like either being on this call, watching the replays, being in other groups, listening to other gurus, whatever it might be, like watching television, YouTube videos, etc., listening to podcasts, you get the point, or doing the work, right? Like doing client success calls, doing cold calling, building ads, setting up your GHL, having conversations, sending emails, like that kind of stuff. There's very little time spent on evaluation. And if you don't evaluate, you really cannot succeed, and you won't learn your lessons because you're just going to kind of keep stumbling into the same problems over and over. So what we'll do is we'll show you.
And really quick too, if you don't mind, I want to add to that. I think what people do is they also they pile on too many things at once, and or they want to focus on the things that are fun and sexy and exciting and the quick dopamine hits versus the hard, deep work that need to get done. Like it's so much easier to go make a social media post or put together a cool image or graphic or shoot a video, and that feels good. Put it out there, awesome. But did it move the needle? Did it put more money in your bank account? Did it impact your clients and community? And I think the deep work required is what a lot of us get into avoidance of, right? I think so. A good reflection to start with is, what is the hard work you have been avoiding? What can we narrow our focus in on? Mostly for a lot of you, it's going to be acquisition. Are you spending the necessary time to bring in new clients and book sales calls? Or are you spending your time playing in the mud, playing in the sandbox, playing with GHL features? Oh, I like this. Let's build out an infographic. Let's do this strat. Like, or are you focused in on something very specific? So I think if we want to start like with the reflections of what you shouldn't be doing, that'd be a good place to begin. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I love that. It's great insight. And what we'll do is we'll show you the SOP so you can get a sense of it, keep it super simple, keep it light for you so you can actually implement it and take something from the session. That's our goal every time. This is a members area SOP. So we provide this to our clients in POD, people that are in our group. We're showing it to you so you can check it out. Please don't ask us if you can have the link. You can just read it. You can see it. You can screenshot it. We're not going to send you the link. You can just look at it. It's fine. If you're
And
in
sometimes
POD,
we'll give away resources, not the
100%, 100%. If you're in POD, you have this in your members area, and you could just message us in your Slack channel. But it's really good to just see this and have an understanding of essentially like what we're advising. Let's just touch on just the in general concepts of each of these. The first one is the company values and culture. This is like what most people don't care about or think about, and I get why, right? A lot of times when you're especially a beginner level business, the idea of like setting values and culture kind of gets in the way from you building the systems needed to acquire more business and retain your clients. But if you're someone that actually has a sustainable, profitable company making more than 10, 15, or $20,000 a month, you really need to have company values and cultures, right? Like one of the main ones in prospecting on demand is being a client success company over a client acquisition company, or us believing in the CHAMP model, which is being caring, helpful, available, motivating, proactive. Like these are company values that allow us to establish a culture that allow us to provide exceptional results to our clients, that allow us to then retain those clients, provide for our coaching staff by paying them, and then ultimately provide for our pockets because we're doing a symbiotic business based off of the values and culture.
And you're getting buy-in from your team, and you can feel the energy when you're all rowing in the same direction and are committed to the idea. And then you get buy-in from clients, and it's not this fake thing you can manufacture. It's something that has to be genuine. But when they feel this, a lot of times this will give you more margin for error. And if you can provide your clients with so much or align them with a mission or a goal, a lot of times they will overlook for a time mediocre results or a down month, right? These values matter because people want to be aligned with people they know, like, and trust. But I would also argue if you're at a place where you don't quite have that established business, you don't quite have the revenue or money you really want or need yet, don't focus too much on this. Spend maybe 30 minutes on it, but don't fixate on it. You don't necessarily need it yet.
That's right. The second one is going to be goal review. The thing is, like, if you're not actually setting up any parameters for success, you're never going to be successful. If you want to be successful, you have to define what success means, and not based off of what Brian or Alex says or what someone in high level says or what your parents say or what you think you need to do. It needs to be based off of something in reality, something that's also tangible, right? Like if you're a 400-pound person that's trying to make sure in a month they're going to lose 200 pounds, that is not going to happen. And so if you put that plan together, unless you're cutting off your arm, probably still won't happen, you're going to be disappointed, right? And disappointment and failure is actually one of the most common problems for agency owners and entrepreneurs and SaaS businesses. They just never feel satisfied. They always feel burnt out or frustrated, no matter how much money they're making. We work with people that range their businesses from $150,000 to $300,000 a month, and they're still not satisfied because they don't even know what satisfaction means. It's really, really important that you put together a real goal. What is your revenue goal? What is your profit goal? Here's some prompts that you want to be considerate of. Did you hit that goal? What were the three biggest factors to hitting or not hitting that goal? And then what three optimizations can you make in the next quarter to hit your goal? These prompts will actually allow you to have deep work thinking on what's needed to achieve the results that you have. Think of it as the blueprint to your success, evaluating what you've done prior and then achieving what you want moving forward. Now, obvious question is going to be, what if I didn't have a goal prior? What if I didn't have a goal before in Q3? How do I do this? If you did not have a goal, look at the data that you did get and still answer these questions. What were the three biggest factors to getting to where you're at right now or to not getting to where you want to be? Same idea, and then it will allow you to plan for an appropriate goal in Q4. Anything else you want to add to this, Brian, before we move on?
Yeah, if you are struggling to hit a financial goal, do not just define the financial goal, define the activity required to get there. So many people say, I want to get 50 clients. I want to make $100,000 in recurring revenue. Great, perfect. How many sales calls per week do you need to book to get that? How many leads per week do you need to generate to get that? You need to set the goal, but commit to the action. And really, in my opinion, the goal should be the activity, not necessarily the outcome. So set both if you're struggling to hit a goal.
We only control the actions, not the outcomes, right? That's how life and business works. Ultimately, the more focus that you put onto the actions that you take, if you optimize your actions, you're going to end up getting the outcome that you want consistently. I give you an example of what Brian was talking about. We did a sales call this morning for someone that's going to join POD. Their goal was to get to $50,000 recurring revenue. They're currently at $11,000 recurring revenue. We did the math on the amount of success they need to have because they sell SaaS products. They need 266 subscriptions. Okay. In 3 months to hit that goal. That's a substantial amount of subscriptions. Then we did it based on how many calls they're currently having. We ended up identifying that in order to hit that goal at the current rate they're at, they have to close at an 85% rate. And I want to make this point clear. You're not going to close at an 85% rate. So two things either have to happen. This is what happens when you evaluate experience, right? Two things have to happen. One, you have to adjust the end goal. Okay. You have to adjust the end goal if it's not reasonable, or adjust the actions, meaning, hey, if we double the amount of calls we have over the next 4 months or 3 months, right, then we need to close at a 40% rate. Again, is 40% high? Definitely, but certainly not as high as 83%, right? This allows us to get closer to the goal. Any goal that you have, we will always challenge you. And I'm repping the anti-hustle shirt today, so it's a perfect example. Just ask why. Just ask yourself why. Don't allow it just to be because. Ask why. It'll make a huge difference for you long term, and you'll be much happier in your life and in your business if you do that. All right. Let's move on here. Talk about number 3, and that's team member review. Now, again, these are just the core tenets of how you want to audit what you've done in the previous quarter and planning for the move ahead. Pretty simple stuff here, right? I mean, you're going to review each team member's scorecard, their job role, making sure if they were a valuable asset or an invaluable asset. What I hear a lot from people that work with us in POD is like, oh, I'm dissatisfied with team member X. And then I ask them why, and they can't tell us why, right? It's like, oh, I'm just not happy. It's like, well, if you don't have something tangible, then there's nothing they can do to improve. You need a tangible KPI for improvement. You also need to communicate the hard stuff to your team members so that they know what it's going to take to be successful. Brian, anything else you want to add from the team member review side of things?
Yeah, trusting too soon and firing too late. So many people want to bring someone in because they think that there's certain areas of the business, specifically the fulfillment of your service, that you should from day zero be delegating, have fulfillment outsourced, and you should be focusing on acquisition. But especially around acquisition, people don't want to do that deep work. They want to go hire a VA to do their prospecting and then a commission only closer to do their sales calls. And they're trusting these people with way too big of a responsibility too soon, and they're waiting too long to fire that person. And I was, talking with a client about this earlier, and I was like, you're actually doing two people a disservice, doing yourself a disservice because you kick your goals longer down the road, doing that salesperson a disservice because they can't earn any money. They don't actually know how to close anyone because you didn't show them how. And then it just kicks everything else down the road because you weren't, I'm not going to say brave enough isn't the right word, but you didn't have whatever it was, the internal fortitude to make a hard decision and let that person go. So I guess, trusting too soon, firing too late would be a big mistake people are making. The hard conversations will be a huge weight off of your shoulders, and that's over the other side of those conversations are the good parts in your business.
Amen. I like doing this model for the MVP. I just think there's value in trying to lift people up. Most people that do evaluations, I don't know why this is the case, but we tend to focus on all the bad stuff. Like, here's all the team members that sucked. Here's why I didn't hit any of the goals that I had. Here's how I wasn't disciplined and why I didn't get what I want. It's just how human beings are. Never happy enough, never satisfied enough, constantly being their own worst enemy. Some people operate healthily in that model, but I would say the large majority of people do not operate healthy in that model. It creates a very negative mindset around being an entrepreneur, creates a huge amount of stress and anxiety for people in work, creates a huge lack of fulfillment, creates that weird weekend feeling called the Sunday scaries where like, oh my God, it's almost Monday. I have to get back to work. It's like, if you're having that feeling, there's something really wrong. Something's really broken. And that's probably because you're just being a dickhead to yourself. Excuse my French, but it's probably just the reality. So in general, having any prompt in your evaluation of positive things, like who else is doing a great job in your company, is a really valuable thing to be considerate of. Okay. Just something to be cognizant of.
Yeah. And we all have such high standards for ourselves and our team that we expect things to go well most of the time, but the positive affirmation is key as well, for sure.
No doubt. Holistic growth review is just like the remaining elements basically from the quarterly audit, right? So you just want to identify the metrics that matter most to you. We just put in a bunch of examples here. There's plenty of other ones. I would say these are probably the majority of like 99% of businesses that are in our Facebook group fit this, I would say. Pretty common. And this is what we were just talking about, right? identifying the biggest achievements you had. Brian and I, when we do our sessions with our community, we're constantly asking them to share their wins, to make sure that we're clear on what they're achieving, to understand what lessons can be taken. If we just get a win, okay, and then we just kind of move off of that win, we don't celebrate that win, we don't evaluate that win, we don't optimize to get that win again, that win in a vacuum is worthless, right? It's worthless because it can't be repeated and you didn't learn anything from it, which makes it shitty. You spend so much time and effort focusing on the things that didn't go great. What about the things that did go well? And I just want to touch on one concept here that's really valuable, and it's called critics math, right? And I struggle with this quite a bit, and Brian helps me a lot with it. But it's like, if you have 10 pieces of positive affirmation from clients saying, you're doing a great job, I'm really appreciative of the effort that you put in, thanks so much for getting us this result, we're so happy with this, but then you have one person that says, I'm not happy with this thing, right? You just focus all of your energy on the one thing that didn't go right. I'm not asking you to give yourself a pass. I'm asking you to give yourself grace. Those are two very different things. A pass is not caring what people say about your effort and work that you put into the business. You should care about what your clients have to say about your effort and work in their business and in their results. But ultimately, it's giving yourself grace to realize you're not going to bat 100%. It's impossible. No business we've ever worked with, including our own business, has bat 100% with client success. It's just not possible. You cannot win for every single person. You cannot be perfect every single day. It's not possible. So giving
I
yourself
want to speak
grace
to
is
that
key.
too.
Oh,
Yeah, so many people beat themselves up after one client gets a bad experience, and it shakes them to their core where they don't feel like they can sell ethically and their product sucks and they lose faith in delivery, and then that's where they don't do the deep work anymore and they go do the surface work that feels good, but they're not making any real progress. And to me, it's like you need a variety of clients, not necessarily niche, ideally within a niche, but a variety of different types of businesses in that niche. When I say types, sizes, locations, longevity, how long have they been in business? How much reputation do they have on online, offline? So you need this variety because over time you will find the vein of your industry that you can best serve. Don't let a couple of bad experiences when you did your best ruin the opportunity for you to work and impact other people's lives as well. It's very important.
100%. Absolutely critical to your success. Giving yourself grace during these audits are important. It's why at the top of the SOP, which I'll show you here so you can see, the top of the SOP, we have this model, right? Like with a positive mindset. I mean, 99% of people we work with, they'll come back to us and be like, dude, I did, $400,000 in revenue this quarter. I profited 180,000, and here's the 400 things I did bad. It's like, doesn't even matter about the results they had. So just pretty important to be cognizant of that. So again, here's the holistic growth review. And then the last bit is just the investment review. The investment ultimately
Yes.
is investing in yourself, right? Investing in yourself is key. It's not just financial investment though, it's time investment, right? It's also not just business investment, it's holistic investment elsewhere. Brian has constantly, tooted the horn on the value of having like outside hobbies from business. So we're not just focused on it, because if you invest into that, you're going to have so much more invigorated energy to provide better for your business. You can't go into your business and fill other people's cup if your cup is completely empty, right? So for Brian, it's going to the gym every day. For me, it's playing pickleball 3 or 4 times a week. These are things that when we're outside of business and we get into either a competitive environment for ourselves, right? It allows us to come back with a new, fresh mindset versus just everything in our life is focused on the business, because that's not healthy and that's not true, especially for Brian and I, who both have young children under 3 years old. That stuff really matters to us. We want to spend a lot more time with our kids than we do with any of our clients. No offense. And the good thing about our
Yeah.
clients, I know this for a fact, they want that for us too. So that's the model. That's pretty much it. Pretty simple, easy model to do. We really strongly recommend that you do this. Give yourself time to really go through and do a quarterly audit. Brian, is there anything else you want to share for today's show?
Sure. This is a rapid fire one. I think those some examples of clients who maybe, and through our reflections, the reflections they've shared with us, what we've heard them saying in Q3 and throughout the year, that we see and define as more of the busy work versus the deep work. Because I know a lot of you, when we say some of these things out loud, you're going to resonate with them and feel like, oh yeah, I'm falling into that trap too. The most common thing with a lot of the newer people we brought into the program is everyone is, because of how people find and join communities varies, right? Sometimes, oh, I found Dan Henry's thing on teaching Facebook ads, so I'm deep into Facebook. Or, oh, I found high level, so I'm deep into the SaaS thing. Or I found this thing, so I'm deep into content marketing or whatever that thing you fall into. But the trap that they fixate on is the offer. They start with what they want to sell versus who they want to serve. So if you find yourself playing around with like the SaaS configurator, which feature should I offer, which thing should I do, stop yourself. You need to decide first who you want to serve, what the desired outcomes, the desired state of that market for 95% of that market, what do they want? And then your offer should reflect that. So a lot of you really need to start with just a minimum viable product that you can bring to your market and be open to adjust it. What POD is now 7 years later versus what it was 7 years ago is completely night and day. We didn't arrive at the offer 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Yep, this is it. It's a constant state of improving and understanding the agency landscape, how we can best deliver for our community. You guys need to do the same thing. Stop playing in the sandbox with your offer, and really you need to focus on who you serve instead and how your offer can reflect that. Now, once you start to find these people, here's a second area of busy work that clients fall into. You start to become an order taker. You start to go in a direction, and then you're just going to do every single thing the client asks you to do because you're afraid if you don't, you'll lose the deal. I call this overcompensating versus over-delivering. Over-delivering, I want you to do. I want you to make a promise and then exceed that as often as you can. Overcompensating is when you're not sure what the promise is. You just got this client and now you have them and they're paying you, but you're not really sure what the KPI or the outcome is you're moving towards, and you just start doing shit for them. I'll do your Facebook ads, I'll run your Instagram account, I'll write emails and build your website. And now you have this Frankenstein agency. And again, maybe you started with the audience, but your offer is now a Frankenstein offer. So really consider this. Take this away. If you don't take away anything else, the difference between could and should. Could you focus on that? Could that be a valuable part of your offer? Could this create more revenue for you? Sure, probably, maybe. But should you, if you want to build a scalable, repeatable business? The answer most of the time is probably not. All of the ideas in your head could be good ideas. You need to focus on one offer, one audience. You can build $1 million business from just that. If you're struggling and spinning your wheels, not making the money you want, stop defining your goals based on revenue and number of clients. Define actions needed to get there and focus in what you're selling and who you're selling to. And I promise you 2024 will be a game changer for you if you can do these things and set yourself up for success in this last quarter of the year.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Does anyone have any questions for us before we wrap the show today? Just in case you do, I'll be happy to answer. If not, we appreciate you always. Grateful for your time. We'll be back next week with the Hot Wing Hotline. It's been a long time coming. I hate myself for doing it, but it's going to be fun for you, I guess, not for Brian and I. But if you don't know what the Hot Wing Hotline is, we're going to be booking sales calls for you, doing live cold calling. And if we can't book a meeting, we're going to eat the hottest hot wing on the planet. So it's going to be a fun one next week. It'll be an hour-long show, so expect that. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you there. Anyone have anything for us that need anything? All righty. B-Dog, appreciate you. Everyone else in the Facebook group, we appreciate you. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day. We'll see you soon.